Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned, this summit has been powered by Ravin, so many thanks to them. And as we all know, this is the largest business conglomerate with their interest in energy and power. And when we are talking about infrastructure, power, of course, the energy stands as a backbone, as a foundation. No power, no energy, nothing moves. Especially when we are talking about digitization, IoT and all that, of course you need power. And what was also mentioned, that as we're talking about inclusive infrastructure, we are also looking into the rural economy. Still we have parts of our country which does not have power and energy. So I would like to, in fact, now invite Mr. Vijay Karia, the Chairman and Managing Director of Ravin Group, for his opening remarks. Please join me as I invite Mr. Karia now to address us all. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Power excites me. I'm sure it does to all of you. I don't know if you have any politicians there. I'm sure power excites them also. So I was very happy to hear from Archana about energy. And we are seeing that the whole segment is moving forward. Of course, this is the 4th INFRA summit. We've moved on quite a lot from the first one. But as I was coming here, a thought came to my mind. In the 1970s, when we were talking about growth, there was a movie made by this name also called Roti, Kapda aur Makan. We yet talk about the same. So I don't know how much we have moved on, but in the meantime, a lot of things which were in shortage at that time have come and gone past us. In the 1970s, 1980s, we had a 20-year waiting period for a Bajaj scooter. For a motor car, you had a 20-year waiting period. Telephones were impossible to get unless and until you had some very high political influence. Today, phones are available off the shelf. This is also part of infrastructure. The objective of infrastructure is to improve the quality of life and business. Also, infrastructure all needs to converge into a mainstream. Somewhere you just cannot have infrastructure in isolation. And infrastructure in isolation just does not mean infrastructure in certain segments of the country. But it also means that if you have an airport standing at Delhi or at Mumbai, you need to have well-built support systems for it. I am very interested about the next session, which is there on inclusive infrastructure. The next growth of infrastructure will not come from the biggies. There are a lot of biggies sitting here. The next growth will come from smaller players in the IoT, in the IT. And here where India is a key backend. You just cannot have a railway functioning without the million support systems behind it. You do require backend, and this is where we need to create this infrastructure, and this is where skilling would take a big place in the India of tomorrow. A few days ago, I was very happy to see a poster circulated on WhatsApp which was an advertisement by the railways for somewhere in the 1907, which was for Mumbai, which said that people wanting to visit Churchgate from far off places like Bandra and Andheri may please do these things. Life has changed so much. What we consider to be far off about 100 years ago, today seems very close by. And at the pace at which things are growing, what we see to be very unattainable, very unreachable, today, within 5 years' time, it will be within our grasp. We are seeing technology changing. We are seeing companies changing. We are seeing lifestyles changing. Unfortunately, we are grappling with two problems on the infrastructure side. The first problem is that you are yet talking about building toilets in homes. After 70 years of independence, we should not have been talking this. You should have been only talking about how you can better the quality of life. But again, today morning, I don't know if most of you all would have seen that WHO has said that 90% of the air that we breathe is badly polluted. So infrastructure has its own set of problems. And it also has its own set of challenges. And a lot of our consultant friends out here sometimes add to those challenges. I recall in the 1980s, McKinsey and Company was hired by AT&T to do a survey on the cell phone industry because AT&T was the leader in the telecom segment and they had a lot of head start over anybody else in the telecom segment. And AT&T was hired to do a survey as to whether cell phones would work in America and whether AT&T should get into the cell phone business or not. Ultimately, AT&T decided not to get into the cell phone business based on the report of McKinsey, which said that over the next 10 years' time, America would be having 900,000 phones, cell phones. Well, the fact of the matter is, America landed up with 109 million cell phones in place of 900,000. The rest is history. But honestly, like the country is changing, like we are changing, technology is changing, so also the definition of infrastructure is changing. Power is no longer power, it is called electricity. It is no longer internet, it is the Internet of Things. Automobiles are being replaced by electromobility. Generation is now being replaced by power storage. Fossil fuels are being replaced by renewable energy. Consumers will drive innovation and infrastructure growth. But unfortunately, in that whole acronym of Roti Kapda or Makan, we are yet struggling for Makan. It is beyond reach of most people. My old friend here, Mr. Sujit Nag, who runs the electrical infrastructure at Delhi airport and he's sitting here with us, he was telling me that we require a big paradigm shift in how we construct things. They're struggling to get people. So, for the people sitting here who are especially part of the construction industry, I throw this challenge to you all and please catch it as to how you can bring about a technological revolution in construction. Because along with the infrastructure, and we said that we want to ideate, we want sustainable infrastructure, but I think everybody here will agree that the most important thing that we require is speedy infrastructure. No longer are people willing to wait. Already there is a lot of feeling amongst the common man that the government is not doing enough. The government says, boss, previous 67 years nothing was done. How can you expect me to do it within 3 years' time? Well, no longer are people willing to give that kind of largesse. So, I think construction segment, and like if you see the telephone segment where it has grown by leaps and bounds is only because of technology. Construction segment needs to grow by leaps and bounds on basis of technology. Why should it take in India 5 years' time to build a bridge of 500-meter length? So many parts of the world are building it in 45 days' time. Now, the common man wants improved standard of living. Healthcare is a new area of infrastructure in India. And we are yet stuck in that old quagmire where we don't know whether to build new roads, whether to build new railways, whether to build new ports, or to build a Swachh Bharat, a Digital Bharat, a Make in India. Where technology has grown and become cheaper, growth has come. Where it has not changed much, we are stuck. Buildings, construction is one such area. Roads and the quality of roads is another such area. There is a huge demand for every bit of infrastructure in India. A lot of our population yet does not have access to electricity. But yet, we cannot afford to give them electricity because of various reasons. So, we need to use infrastructure to spur growth. We need to use the public-private participation very strongly to spur the infrastructure growth. And it is very important that the infrastructure segment grows at a far faster pace than what people are anticipating. And therefore, this is a challenging tone that we have set for this discussion. I wish all of the participants, the panelists, the speakers, all the very best for this exciting day ahead. And let's say that the future of India today lies in your hands. Thank you very much.